What's up guys, and in today's video I would like to talk to you about how to get stronger as a rower so that you can improve your erg scores, row faster in the boat, maybe avoid an injury, improve a technical change, also that you can get progressing in the right direction. Obviously, disclaimer, make sure that you're cleared if you have any injuries or any history of any medical issues. Make sure you're cleared to do all this stuff, but I'd very much like to go through this in a way that is safe and sustainable. And the big thing with weights is when you do it right, it improves your injury resistance. So likewise, if you do it wrong, some of my worst injuries were from doing weight training, but yeah, when you do it right, you avoid injury, and you also can increase your power. And lots of the time when we're coaching as well, we'll link in what you do in the gym with your weights with technical changes that people are looking to make. So I'll try and cover everything in detail in a simple, actionable way so that you can use it regardless of what level you're at. Whether you've never lifted before or you did 20 years ago and now you're starting again. I'll try and cover it with different amounts of equipment because I know certain people don't always have access to gym. We're always chopping and changing people's programs to fit where they are. If you're traveling on a work trip, Tokyo's in the background and he's gonna go friggin' mental, so you'll have to excuse me. And also there's some construction going on outside. It's actually you're probably not even gonna hear it, but I'm gonna hear it and it's gonna distract me, which isn't hard to do. But anyways, so let's cut to the chase. So to cover it, to start with, I think it's good to cover the main areas that you want to target in the gym. To be honest, you want to be pretty full body, obviously, like legs and core, as most experienced rowers know. I probably don't have to tell this audience that rowing's not an arms sport. It's obviously like a legs and core, and then a bit of the back. And arms. But yeah, generally you want to be pretty legs focused and you want to be pretty hip hinge focused. So when I say hip hinge, that's sort of when I say hip hinge, it means going from here to there, basically, and pivoting your hips. So you want to get really strong at that movement as well. The biggest thing to make sure, above all else, if you could only do one exercise, it would be core. Or if you could only target one area, it would be core. The main reason that you want to, the main way to get faster at rowing is to train consistently. One of the biggest issues that people have with training consistently and doing a lot of training consistently is injury. The best way that you can prevent injury so that you can train consistently so that you can hit your goals is to do lots of core work. And it's not glamorous. You have to do it consistently. But it works, and I'm sure you've heard it all before, but I mean, you don't have to listen to it. You can maybe get yourself injured 2 or 3 times before you really start to buy into it. Getting started then, we'll cover this from a beginner's standpoint and move all the way through to kind of expert, if you will. But I think even if you think of yourself as an experienced lifter, I think it's good to cover these basics. So if I was starting off with somebody who had no lifting experience, generally, now again, depending on the individual, you will want to tweak some things or have more of a focus depending on where they are. But the first one is do goblet squats and do some form of dumbbell straight leg deadlift. Those are 2 of the biggest exercises to start off with. When we get people doing that, we're looking at how they move and how their hip moves when they go down into a squat. How stable are they? Are they shifting their weight onto the front of the feet or the back of the feet? When you hip hinge, where are the weaknesses? So when you do that straight leg deadlift with dumbbells, where do you start to collapse? Do you find, immediately, if you're looking at your pelvis, can you get any rotation forward when you lean forward into that straight leg dumbbell deadlift? Or, do you really struggle to like keep your shoulders pinned back and strong and set when you go down. So but yeah, again, it's quite hard to give you the advice on this without seeing your form. So generally, you want to make sure that you can get squat down with a goblet squat so that your thighs are parallel with the floor. That's, you know, that's a solid 7 out of 10 in terms of range of motion. One of our athletes, literally yesterday, we were talking with them about getting their weakness was getting comfortable at the front of the stroke and getting comfortable at the catch, and they had the strength sitting out there, but they didn't have the mobility and the strength to get out there. So what we're doing right now is really pushing the range in the bottom of the squat and like just basically getting as low as possible in that squat. And I think it's something that everybody should shoot for. I think if you can get down into a squat with your thighs parallel to the floor, that's great. But, you know, always looking to progress. I would say try and decrease that range. Now, increase that range. Important thing is, if you're squatting, say, 50 kilos or 100 kilos on your back, not goblet squat, you know, you're maybe a bit more experienced already, cut the weight in half and just get that range first, because if you try and do full range squats when you've only been doing sort of like thighs to parallel to the floor, increasing your chance of injury. So really just focus on getting as low as you can with that squat and getting stable there. The good way to start off with that is just doing goblet squats. Generally 4 weights, 4 rowing, for reps and sets, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps, and you will be sorted. Do that consistently. So that kind of covers hopefully the goblet squats. Again, each of these exercises could be a video in their own way. But yeah, start off with that. Get low into a goblet squat with your chest and posture strong. With a straight leg deadlift, I think the target for you should be, again, with your back, making sure that all the rotation is from your pelvis and not from your vertebrae. Get your back into a position where you're kind of like that, you're starting like that, and then you get ideally to parallel to the floor. Now again, you want to be very careful with the weight and how much you push this. I would suggest being even more cautious with this than you would with squats. You should feel it in the hamstrings as well, probably. Okay, another technical tip: don't lock out your legs at the top when you do a straight leg deadlift. Make sure your knees are always braced. That keeps the tension on your muscles, not on your tendons. So that's another big thing as well. But yeah, these 2 lifts, these are the most risky ones in terms of like putting your back or your hips at risk. But if you can do this for, I'd say, you know, 2, goblet squats, straight leg deadlifts with dumbbells, do that, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps twice a week. Do it for 4 to 8 weeks. See where you are at the end of 8 weeks. Oh, for fuck's sake. I just realized that the SIM card's only got 4 minutes of memory left. God damn it. We'll have to do 2 parts to this. So yeah, that is the main point. Once you get to that point, after that kind of 4 to 8 weeks, then you can bring in the barbell. Then you can get the weight on your back. You can get a barbell in your hands when you're doing the straight leg deadlift. For the next exercises, I know I'm saying core is the most important, and I'll leave it to last. The next exercises, I would do some form of bent forward row. Like a barbell bent forward row is really good. You hit that posterior chain, you're engaging your hips and your hamstrings and your lower back while you're kind of focusing on your lats and your core a little bit as well, and your arms. So I really like that exercise. I think it's a very good one to hit. Again, add this as the 3rd set to your exercise, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. okay, if you want to be a bit more conservative with doing this, if you're a beginner, this is actually something you can probably do even if you are a beginner, because it will be less weight and you won't be hinging your hip and putting your back or hips at risk. That being said, if you want to be a bit more cautious, you can do the same thing just with dumbbells and at a lighter load. Next, you want to do some presses. You want to eat, sorry, the screensaver just turned off. You want to do some presses, some bench press or dumbbell press or press ups to even out. Now, obviously, the two reasons we want to do this: with rowing, obviously you pull through like that, we get so strong in our backs. You want to balance out that strength in the other way to avoid injury. But the other big one is that even though you can feel your muscles engage in your back when you pull that way, studies show that if you focus on building your front and your chest, that being stronger here will help with that draw and increase your power through the back as well. So yeah, that's another big one. Okay, like again, as a beginner, maybe you might want to avoid the barbell. Obviously, this is quite a risky one if you're going to fail. So make sure you've got a buddy with you if you're going to do some heavier weights. But yeah, barbell is probably fine for beginners. The kind of mistake people will make is like when you go down, you let your shoulders go up. Make sure you keep your shoulders down and you're driving low. In the same way, if you're at the finish, you wouldn't be like this. You drive through at the finish like that with your shoulders low and strong. So you want to push in that same way as well. The other big thing, again, okay, so bench press, again, 3 sets. Guys, this is simple shit, like 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. It's not that hard. Do this consistently. Okay, right. We've just finished on bench press. The SIM card's at 1 minute. I'm gonna end this and make some space, so I'll be right back. We are back. So yeah, press. Dumbbell press, barbell press, same thing. 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Maybe you're getting a theme here. Yeah, depending on where you are in the year, you might want to do a little bit more of the higher reps if you're looking to build some muscle, or if you're getting close into racing season, you might want to do some reps of 4 to 5, but generally, like just leave it there and do that consistently. It's not that complicated. The other big one, I think, for me, and I wish I did more of this earlier in my career because I got a pretty bad shoulder injury. It was a nerve impingement. Yeah, and basically, there's I'm no physio, but there's a lot of nerves that run through the front of your shoulder here, and if your shoulder isn't sitting properly in the joint, it just starts to rub against that nerve, and you can get really bad, like nerve impingement, it's called, I believe. Physios, if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. Not that any physios watch this, but big thing to improve and do is shoulder press, overhead shoulder press. So again, with dumbbells or with a barbell, I'd probably do this one with dumbbells. It's just easier. And yeah, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. You can also do, when we were in the GB team, we would do sculling is a bit more, I think you need a bit, you need a bit more shoulder strength. One thing we did when we were in the GB team was like quite a lot of like lateral raises that we would add in, and then front raises, and then bent forward flies as well to just sort of hit all around the shoulders. But you can throw that in on the end as a sort of like bonus circuit. Yeah, and like, look, I think that those 5 exercises are a really solid start. Of course, not including the core, a really solid start at like a weights program. And you do that twice a week, that full body program twice a week. Like literally, if you do goblet squat or back squat, straight leg deadlift with dumbbells or straight leg deadlift with barbells, bench press, bent forward row, and shoulder press, and then some core, which I'll talk you through. If you do that twice a week, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps, do it consistently over months, you will get stronger. And so many people, there's some other stuff I want to talk to as to why people doing that sort of training don't get stronger. So we'll get to that. The biggest area, I shouldn't have saved this for the end because people are going to think, oh yeah, like maybe Jack saved it to the end because it's less important, but it's not. It's the core. So you ideally want to have different types of core exercises. I won't go into the specifics of the why behind it. But generally you want some form of kind of moving isometric core exercise where the Pallof press is there, really good. Not many people have those in their gym, so that's maybe something to avoid. But the big thing, I think, is rotational work. So the cable rotations, they're really good. Hanging leg raises are fantastic, where you do except you kind of lift up one side at a time. So instead of like this is your legs, this is going to be a terrible demonstration. If you lift your legs straight up, and then you kind of like lift them to one side and then lift them to the other side, and you kind of go through, you can go through like that. That's like a really good way to hit all areas of your core. If you don't want to do that, you can do window wipers as well, lying on the ground on your back. It's basically just doing that with your legs. If you find that hard, you can do sort of like bend your knees, and just have it a bit of a shorter like leg length that you're rotating. Yeah, I think though, and again, I would do maybe a bit higher reps for the core. Maybe 12 to 20 reps for the core stuff. But yeah, like for rowing, you know, I always noticed that when I was rowing my best, I would feel it in my core. When I had some of my best rows, like my core, my abs, they were screaming at me. And I think the only, you know, building my core strength allowed me to use my core more. And if you don't have a strong core, you're gonna row worse because you're not able to brace and drive in the same way. You maybe see a lot of really good rowers that can drive their legs and hang on it really well and not take any tension up here. A lot of that is because their core strength is like fantastic, and they can really drive low and brace through their hips and through their legs. But yeah, here's my ridiculously big Gatorade bottle. I saw it in Florida when I was in, Florida, no shit. And I just had to buy it. Anyways, so very good. Like, you're a beginner, you're an elite. That sort of structure would work very well. Some additional stuff you can add on is some of the shoulder work I showed you. Some core work. Yeah, farmer walks, I didn't actually talk about those. I'm sure I'm going to forget some stuff. Explosive work is really good as well, but I wouldn't look at that until you get a bit more advanced and you're doing this consistently. You can start off with squat jumps, like very simple. Don't go, because you want to move quickly, you want to increase the speed at which you do this. You don't want to go full range with squat jumps. You want to just go and jump back up. You don't want to like do ass to grass like we were talking about with the squats. You want to just do like literally like a quarter, like down and up, and try and jump as high as you can. The other exercise you can start to look at is some of the Olympic lifts, like what is it, the cleans and the jerk and the jerks, clean and jerks, maybe not jerks to be honest. Snatches are really good, but again, that's quite an advanced topic, and I wouldn't, you know, maybe save that for another video. But yeah, really good way to build explosive power. The squat jumps on their own is like a really good way to do it. Make sure that you don't do what you see like lots of other rowing programs do, where you do like, you know, 100 reps of it. Like, you're not training power when you do that, because you're not moving quickly. That's slow twitch muscles. You're building endurance. Yeah, you'll still improve something else, but you're not building power. The reason we want to get in the weights gym is because we want to do things that you just can't do elsewhere. And having ridiculous amount of weight loaded through your skeleton, moved really quickly, you just can't replicate that anywhere else in the world. So we really want to have a focus on that. Yeah, we're just increasing your max power, increasing your body's like capability to withstand force and produce more force. But yeah, okay. Talking about how you can work on this to improve your technique. I would say the big areas that people need to improve on to help their technique. Number one is like back to the start, hip hinges, so your straight leg deadlifts, but doing the form right. If you're someone that struggles with mobility or to rock forward or to hold your body forward on the drive as you drive with your legs, if you really struggle to do, you know, rock over with your body and then slide forward and then drive back, keeping your body forward and then open. This motion here is what you need to get good at. And right now you're probably you're rocking forward and you're getting, I can't hold it. So that's where straight leg deadlifts, where you're very strict on form, comes in handy. If you can do this, and like imagine if you can do that in the gym with maybe like your body weight on the bar, like you're going to be able to rock forward in a boat like that, piece of piss. So that's one of the biggest areas. The other one is just general like strength at the front of the stroke, at the catch. Being able to, you know, if you're sweeping, sit out there and sit tall. Or if you're sculling, or if you're on the erg, of course, as well, sit here and sit tall and not be collapsing. So a lot of that is like your upper back, and you know, your strength and your upper back. Overhead squats can be really good for that. Or bent forward dumbbell flies can be good for that as well. The other one is, this is maybe more for sculling, but just to cover it simply, we were doing this with one of our athletes recently, and this is helping them loads. But just building forearm strength to be able to take the blades out with minimal effort. And a lot of the time when people come in, you know, they need to give it everything they've got. And yeah, that's a technical thing, but it can also be you just don't have quite have the strength in your forearms to just flick and, you know, minimize the amount of movement at the back. So forearm curls, basically dumbbell or a barbell, go like that, go like that. Add that to the end of your sessions twice a week. All this stuff is just hit these muscle groups twice a week. You can split them into 4 sessions. You could do one full body, one upper body, one lower body. That would be 3. I just suggest doing 2 full body. It's simple. Yeah, or you can do 4, which I rarely recommend. You can do like lower, upper, lower, upper. But that's a bit more advanced. You're probably just better off doing UT2 unless you have all day, every day to train. Yeah, okay. I can't remember what else I said I was going to talk about, but I think there's loads and loads and loads of value in there for you. I think, yeah, I mean, like, look, I was having a really good conversation with one of our coaches, Taylor, and he talked about how focusing on his weights. Oh, right, that's what I wanted to talk about, was mindset for weightlifting and recovery as well. So there we go. Hopefully you've not clicked off yet, because I'm about to drop some gems. But yeah, Taylor, like he was struggling. Oh no, he wasn't struggling. He was already at a good position. He took some time off for like 6 months, lifted. He was a shorter rower as well. Lifted for basically six months, like kind of almost every day, and did barely any training, and came back, did an erg, and took like 8 seconds off of his 2K just by doing weights. So this stuff, like, it works. If you do this, like, it just works. The big thing to get right is your intensity and your recovery, and making sure you get your nutrition right. So the big thing is once, and I see so many, even when I was in the GB team, saw so many people that, you know, I was stronger than. They were like, often they were faster than me on the erg, but in the gym I would be stronger than them. And it's because they just don't push hard enough. Like when you lift your weights, like you gotta, you know, once you get comfortable and you can move through these things safely, the veins on your neck should be popping. Like your face should be going red when you're doing these lifts. You need to push the load. You need to like not be afraid of failing, and it's a whole nother mindset thing on its own. But Yeah, it's a big reason. In the gym as well, like I don't say this anyway to be judgy, but that's a lot of the time when you see people in the gym, you know, they're just not lifting with any intensity, and you don't make any progress if you don't push your muscles. You will a little bit, but you need to do this consistently and lift heavy consistently and push your load consistently. Whole other video on its own. I'm not going to cover it now. The second thing is roughly get enough protein in. 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. That's probably like 1 gram. I think that'll be roughly 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight if you use pounds. Yeah. The way I do that, because I can be quite late. Like when I was training and when I was rowing, I was far better at this, but right now the easiest way I find is just have 2 protein shakes a day, and then pretty much everything else will be sorted, and I'll have 3 scoops of protein powder in my shakes, because just some days, you know, I forget about it, I don't have any with lunch, or I don't have any with dinner. You can very easily drop your protein off. But if I have you know, 2 protein shakes a day of 3 scoops, then that's around 90 grams of protein, and for me at my weight I need to be hitting around 160, 170. So that's, and then generally, you know, there's protein in pasta, protein in oats and vegetables. Like it doesn't just have to be your traditional protein sources like meats or whatever. I'm vegan, so I don't eat meats, but you know, for most people listening, it doesn't just have to be that. You can find it through other areas as well. But yeah, okay, right. That'll be all for today. It's quite a highly contested video, or requested video. Oh, structuring. Okay, I'll cover one last thing. This has been a shit show. One last thing to cover is structuring it. When should you do them in the week? The short answer is there's no perfect way to do it. It comes down to a case of priorities. If you're trying to prioritize, the question is like, should I do weights before HIIT, or before high intensity or after high intensity, be that in the day or be that in the week? So if you want to get stronger, I would always do weights before high intensity. If you want to focus on the erg, I would do high intensity before your weights. Broadly though, I think it's better to do weights before high intensity. The fatigue from high intensity carries over more into your weights, more so than the fatigue from weights carrying over into your high intensity. Your central nervous system, your explosive central nervous system, it's a really good way to wake it up as well if you do high intensity. If you do weights before high intensity as well. I remember some of the best erg sessions I'd have would be after I do some heavy deadlifts in the morning. So yeah, okay, right. If you like this video, oh fucking, the screen thing turned off. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please like and subscribe and share it with somebody. That's very helpful for helping this channel grow. If you have any questions about anything, drop it in the comments. If there's more stuff you want me to cover, please do feel free. But yeah, hopefully that was useful, and yeah, happy lifting. Cheers.